Hi everyone. Good morning.
Good morning.
Well, almost afternoon. Hi there everyone. Welcome to the Ealing Mental Health Forum. Lovely to see you all again. We had a short break in January, so we weren't able to run the Mental Health Forum then. But yeah, back for February, and each month, as usual, at the end of each month, we'll be meeting. I'll just see who we've got, who's connecting to this meeting.
Oh.
It's lovely to see you all. That's great, we've got quite a few people coming through. So can I just ask everyone to put themselves on mute so we can get feedback? Great. A few more people coming through.
Oh. Hello there. Hi. And you want us to put ourselves on mute?
Yes, please. It's just otherwise there's a lot of feedback in the background. It can get a little bit difficult to hear everyone. Okay, so I make it, oh, it's just gone 12, so we can make a start and people can just join if we've got any latecomers. So thank you very much for joining. I'm Toby from Ealing and Hounslow CVS, and I run the Ealing Mental Health Forum that meets on a monthly basis. And I'm pleased to tell you all we've got some a small amount of funding from Ealing Council to deliver this forum. So thank you very much to the council. They used to run this and there was a little gap in funding, but we kept on running it because we knew there was such a need. And yeah, so now we've got that little bit of funding, and I'm looking forward to working a lot more closely with Ealing Council and just really joining and connecting services and really helping to signpost to people, either people working in the voluntary sector or volunteering or working, and also statutory services as well. It's just anything that really connects everyone is always valuable. So yes, I've had some conversations with Ben, the head of mental health services at Ealing Council, and he's wanting to work more closely. Perhaps we can develop signposting services. Maybe we can develop a website more to help people who need support and groups. So that's the update really. I'm going to be touching more on looking at resources. That's the Google link I sent out, which was an amazing piece of work. But I'll touch on that in a minute. So first of all, we're going to start with the update from Mint. So is Daniel on this call?
I'm here, thank you, Toby. Oh, hi, thank you. Hi, everyone. Yeah, so yeah, thanks, Toby, for holding the meeting first of all, and just to give everybody an update. Craig is also here, who's another one of the Mint managers. So I'll just introduce myself quickly for people that don't know. I work for.
Yeah, I think it just wasn't.
Oh, hello.
I think, to be honest with you, Stephen, even Brent is.
I think there's somebody else trying. Sorry, do you mind? Can everyone just put themselves on mute?
Also, for me, the other problem with Brent is I have this whole box.
Sorry,
I don't
can
know
everyone put themselves on mute because there's a bit of background noise from each 2020. Thank you very much. Thanks. So yeah, so my name's Daniel Stockwell. I'm one of the Mint managers for Ealing, and I'll be working in the North locality. So that's for Northolt, NGP and Greenwell localities, and I'm here as well with Craig, who's going to interject at any point and let me know if I've kind of missed anything in terms of an update. So really, this is, for people that don't know, this is about the transformation in community mental health services that's happening within the 3 boroughs of West London Trust, but I'm going to give you an update about what's happening in Ealing at the moment. We're really kind of reaching a crescendo around kind of the kind of rollout of Mint, which is looking like, which is planned, and we're going to roll out the first stage at the end of March. So there's been lots of things going on in the last month to get that up and running. We've had a standard operating procedure that's been produced, and we've been working on that. We've submitted comments about that today to make sure that it really is reflective of all of the work that we're going to do across the teams. That will be finalised within the next 7 days. And we've also put a plan together locally about how we will kind of work with GPs and yourselves, your organisations as well, to try to deliver the best community mental health care that we can for patients in the community. So quite a few other things have been happening. There's been a lot of recruitment recently. We've had some extra funding, so we've recruited quite a number of link workers who are people who will help kind of patients with kind of signposting to different services, and also doing kind of brief interventions with patients as well, depending on what their needs are. And we've also recruited quite a large number of peer support workers as well. So those are people who have got lived experience of mental health. And what we're trying to do is trying to be much more inclusive in the way that we deliver care to patients. And we know that one of the evidence is that one of the key interventions actually is around patients working with people who have been through the same issues that they've been through before. So we've got quite a team at the moment in Ealing. I think there's either 8 or 9 staff that will have lived experience, and will be kind of delivering specific interventions for patients as well. We've also, where else are we at? Okay, yeah, so we've also, in terms of by the way, if anybody wants to interrupt me and ask any questions, please do, because I know I've got a limited time, so hence why I'm rattling through this quite quickly, because there's quite a lot to say. But we've also trying to devise the best way to help third sector organisations bring patients for discussion, which is something that Craig has been working on, looking at trying to make sure that there is allocated time, basically, within each MDT for there to be discussion with third sector organisations. So maybe Craig, do you want to expand on that? How that's going to work in practice?
Yeah, I can chip in a bit here. So we've been, as Dan mentioned, they did release a standing operating procedure, a draft for us to comment and to think about how it might work, or how it might work within Ealing. And we've been thinking a lot about the meeting such as this one, and the additional one that Dan has set up with Toby as well, more particularly around Mint. And if you're not that familiar with Mint, it is about being more integrated with other services. And we do refer some of our patients out to you guys, or you do refer them to us. So one of the proposals we've put in, and we're hoping that will be authorised, is for each team, there'll be a primary care network with a group of GP practices. So what will happen is the GP, if they have someone who's quite complex or not sure what to do with the patient, they'll book them into a weekly meeting for 10-minute slots. What then we will do with our admin support, the plan will be, is then we will look to see what other teams they are open to. So if they're open to any of your services, we will we're hoping we'll be able to send an invitation out with permission from the patient for you to also attend the review within our team, because you might be doing some really good work that we're not fully aware of, or you might know the patient in a different light from us. And we think it would be really important that you're giving the opportunity to contribute. On top of that, basing on the other meeting that we've proposed, and what we've put in for our requests and comments, is that we have a monthly meeting anyway, aside from that, purely for our community partners. So if you have a patient that you're struggling with, that's open to us or needs some help, then you'll have that opportunity to book in, like the GPs, a monthly meeting as well. So that'll kind of be your time. And again, if they're open to multiple services, again, they could also contribute to that meeting. So we've submitted, like Dan said, we've submitted our ideas today, and we're hoping that they will be approved. And that has been based on us attending this meeting and the other meeting. We've kind of thought about this and put it together. So fingers crossed, that's how it will work, but that's what we put in. So it'd be great if you could give any brief bit of feedback. I know we're short in time, but that's the sort of proposed idea at the moment.
This is really exciting because everything is starting to link up and join up. So yes, just to give people who might be kind of new to the whole kind of setting, you know, when I first started at Ealing and Hounslow CVS about 5 years ago, the mental health support services were so fragmented and difficult to navigate, and thinking how things are developing, particularly with Mint. And it's great to hear about social prescribers, and I'll talk a little bit more about that. But I think it's a really exciting time that things are starting to come together and link up. Has anyone got any questions for Dan or Craig? Yeah, Annabelle, do you want to go ahead?
Yeah, thanks. Dan and Craig, thank you very much. That was a really great overview of what is to come, because it has, as Toby mentioned, it has been a lack of understanding from authorities of what local mental health actually meant for local communities. Our organization supports Somali community. My question here to you is, I understand there are bigger organizations, but there are already existing local small community organizations that actually need the support, that are already linked with the cultures that they're actually sort of helping, or for example, ourselves, the Somali community. Why is there no funding going directly to them so that they can actually come in to support the bigger organization, because they're already established? What we need is upskilling, sort of those existing, organizations to come to full support. What I see here going forward is that those small organizations will get left behind because of a bigger organization just sort of taking all the funding, and sort of, why is it that we can't work together in terms of a bigger collaboration and bring in these people to, sort of to galvanize the community?
Sure. Thanks, Anab. That's a really great question. This is something that I've, both myself and Craig and the other Mint manager, William, have been discussing and advocating for as well. And I know that there has actually been, because West London NHS Trust operates across 3 boroughs, so Hammersmith and Fulham, Hounslow and Ealing. And I think that my understanding is already that there's been some funding which has gone out in Hounslow. I think there was a bidding process there. I was speaking about this with the associate director last Friday, and apparently it was very successful. And I think certainly for me and Craig and William, we're all kind of advocating for that to be replicated in Ealing as well. So could you just watch this space, really? I think that the point that you make is actually really crucial to making sure that this works as well. And I think that, we're not, one of the key fundamental principles of Mint is around making sure that we reach, those parts of the community that we haven't reached in the past, and we don't leave anybody behind. And that's particularly for, around social deprivation as well, and communities that do struggle with kind of accessing NHS services, and they have maybe their own understanding about the way that NHS services work, and they kind of already feel shunned by us, and they think that actually they don't ever want to come to us to seek support. They want to go somewhere else. So we do definitely need to to kind of follow through with that. But unfortunately, I'm not in a position to give a definite answer about that at the moment. But that is something that you know, that we're really advocating for.
Thank you. Thank you. That was great.
Well, that's exciting, thinking that Ealing might get some mint funding, because I was banging on doors about that. I couldn't understand why Hounslow were being offered mint funding and nothing for Ealing. So, yeah, that's interesting, and we'll have to watch this space.
You're on mute.
I've got someone in the chat who's from iPhone who says they've got a question.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't.
Oh, that's
start. My
you.
name is Paru. Hi.
Oh, rude. Hi.
Hi, how are you? All right?
Yes, good. Thanks. Lovely to see you.
Thank you. Then I've got a question for you. I mean, my name is Paru, as I work with Disability Employment Advisor with Ealing Job Center. Now, we do work with social prescribers very, very, very closely. I think day in and day out, we talk to each other for some of the other customers to help them. Now, what I heard that some of them are being taken to work with the vaccination center. So when you said that they are going to take more people and you are going to start the first phase by end of March, is it going to definitely work?
Is it going to work? Well, I mean, I hope so. I mean, I think to be honest, it's a good question, because with any of these things, there are going to be teething problems, and this is probably the biggest change in community mental health services for 30 years. It's an absolutely huge ask, you know. So I think that if we're expecting it to go 100% smoothly, you know, we're going to be disappointed. So I think that there is going to be, it will take a while for the dust to settle, but we're making sure that there's kind of safeguards in place, particularly around SPA, to make sure that SPA is still running in the organisation, at least for the foreseeable future over the summer, to make sure that patients don't get missed and we don't lose anybody. So I think that's the key thing, that we want to make sure that the service remains safe. And that we're still able to patients are still able to access us, and other professionals, and everybody can still access our services. So that's the key thing. But I think in terms of the way that it will work initially, I think that there will be some uncertainty in the beginning, but we're going to have to just overcome that. Yeah.
I just add a little bit to that as well, because I think you've summed it all up perfectly. But just like Dan was saying, this is enormous change for us. So when we're saying like stage 1 or phase 1, that even means internally for us, like separating 2 teams, because there's 2 of us and there's going to be the 3rd team for Dan. And on top of that, we've got to do all this other kind of work with our current staffing as well, because it's a huge culture change and shift in a way of working. So I'll be shocked if it runs completely smoothly at the start. We're talking about phase 1, but we're looking really over the next year for things to really start going in the direction that we want. But a very good question again, though.
Yeah, but I must agree to that. You know, we are working so closely. I think if they start working with all the organizations, we will definitely be able to give better services to our customers. It's really important. I think this is the best service we have got in Ealing, to work together to help those people. Hopefully it continues and becomes more wider spread as well together, honestly. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for your reply.
That's interesting, Peru, that you're saying, because I heard that about social prescribers as well, that they're all being obviously focusing on vaccination at the moment, but hopefully further down the line they will come back. It's such a good initiative, having social prescribers, which kind of brings me on to my next point. But I'll just check, are there any other questions for Dan and Craig before I move on? No. Okay, I will move on to my next point then, which is about sharing information of organisations. Because this kind of connects to, I think it was a Mint meeting, and then there was a lady who attended that, and she told me about some work that two psychiatry students have been putting together, Jenny and Molly, and they sent me over the link to the spreadsheet of support services, and I just thought, wow, what an amazing piece of work that those two have produced in terms of bringing together a complete and comprehensive list. It also covers Hounslow and Hammersmith and Fulham. And basically they were asking me to input to it, and I said, yeah, definitely. That I looked at the list, and first response was, it is very up to date and comprehensive, but I just thought this really got a conversation going about signposting to services and knowing exactly what's out there. So I'm starting to bring together that the Trust has got, West London Mental Health Trust has got their own list, and I know Ealing CCG that supports all the social prescribers have got their own list, which I've been asking to look at. It's a bit kind of trying to hunt down, top secret information. I'm like, please, can we all share information and have one list? So I've been on the case trying to get that one from the CCG. And then, and I know social prescribers, Justina, who was a social prescriber for South Ealing, just that area, she had her own list. And so I was starting to compile things. I wanted to look at that and to see if that's slightly different from the CCG as a whole. And then she told me that doctors, GPs, have another list. So I'm thinking I'm inching closer and closer to consolidating lists. So it's quite a task, but I'm getting there. And I thought this list that Molly and Jenny produced was really good. First of all, they sent it to me that it could be edited, but I thought the way to move this forward is to make it a list that can't be changed in case people, delete key information. So that list at the moment cannot be edited, but they said they're more than willing, if anyone knows additional information or if anyone's got up-to-date information, that they can email them and they will amend that list. So the next stage is, once that's going to be our list that we're going to focus on, we can start sharing that on the Ealing and Hounslow CVS website. Also, we could maybe have a standalone website that service users can look at too. And then we can start comparing to the CCG list and adding to it. I just think, going back to what I was saying 5 years ago when I first joined Ealing and Hounslow CVS and said, so where is the list of services, the holy grail? And everyone just shook their heads. So that's why, I'm quite...
Sorry, Toby, there was a self-help directory, wasn't there, at a stage about 5 years ago or something like that? I don't know if that's even at all.
Do you mean do you mean the one that Ealing and Hounslow CVS produced, or do you mean which one? Because there's been so many attempts. We did have a self-help directory at one stage, and then of course there was Care Place.
I don't know.
Yeah. There was Care Place as well. I don't know if anyone remembers that initiative.
We've got to crack it this time.
Yeah, that wasn't really that successful. But anyway, it's moving forward and it's taking shape. So I'm going to send around the details of Jenny and Molly, who are updating the list. And I'm just going to see if I can share my screen for anyone who hasn't seen the list, and they can get a glimpse of how comprehensive it is. I mean, it's fabulous that they've kind of color coded it with all these sorts of information, and yeah, it's really up to date. I've seen things like we've got Yardo listed on this, which is new, and so I thought, wow, they're really ahead of the game. And yeah, it covers Hammersmith and Fulham, so I will be sending it around. So I know I'm quite sad getting excited that I've got my hands on a list, but it was something that I've been wanting to do for a long time. So please do have another look at this list, and if you see anything that isn't quite right, or you're not listed there, or you know another organisation that isn't, please just do email Jenny and Molly. But what a great piece of work. So I think we should make sure they come to the next session, and so we can thank them. Great piece of work. Well, I'll just stop that share. So next on the agenda is, and this also builds on what we've been talking about in terms of more input from actual service users, and thinking about opening up access to more support services, is Kelvin from Kate's Mental Health Charter. Do you want to talk a little bit more about that, Kelvin? I know you're keen to promote this a bit more.
Yeah, thanks, Toby. Yeah, brilliant. So, well, this is kind of it's not completely new news. So this is kind of sort of a bit of a final push before we get everything on the road with this. But for people who are not familiar with this, what I'm trying to organise is a committee of service users, people with lived experience, for a co-production charter committee, which will be working alongside statutory services. So hopefully, whether that would be with LBE, Mint, and other kind of service providers, in order to create a charter of co-production, which will kind of set out, actually define what is meant by co-production, because one of the things that's been kind of clear to me in the last couple of years in this role is that you talk to 10 people, you talk to 10 different people about co-production, and you get 10 different definitions of what that is. So in order to try and kind of enable this, more consolidated working practice between the various groups, is to actually come up with the definition of, okay, what do we mean when we talk about co-production? And of course that has to involve, I think, as many people as possible. So it has to involve statutory services. I think it needs to involve voluntary groups, and it definitely has to involve service users as well. Otherwise, of course, it's not co-production. Okay, so everyone's got to get together, define what it is, and then create this charter together. So at the moment, I'm at the stage of bringing together the committee of service users. We've got a bunch of people already, which is great. We could probably do with a few more. So this is kind of sort of a push right now, sort of absolutely begging people to spread the word among your client groups that this is a subject that that will make a real definite change to how things work in Ealing. And this is an absolute prime time to do it as well, since it has been up in the air for so long. Like when we bring things together, we want to bring things together in a way that works really well. So I'm really, really keen for this to happen. So please promote this as much as you can with your client group. I've sent out a few sort of posters and emails over the sort of the last few months. I'll send out one more, and you can direct people in my direction. And yeah, the deadline for this is going to be 2 weeks from today. So I really do need, if anybody's interested, they need to kind of jump on the gun with this. I've got a training program which is due to start at the end of this month. So we really want people to be sort of ready for that as well. The training is provided by an organization called Groundswell. I've seen the details of the training package, and it looks absolutely great. And it should give people sort of the background in, how to work within a committee, how to negotiate, how to work with, the professional classes and so on. So it really would give people a really good, what's the word? A really good ground on which to make this work, really. So it's, and it will be absolutely applicable to putting on things like CVs and stuff like that. So it's a great experience to be involved in this as well. Not only will, people be able to change the way that services work, but they also get that kind of personal benefit as well, which can be applied to other areas of life. So have I mentioned everything, or have we got sort of any more sort of questions about that?
Any questions for Kelvin? Meg.
Meg.
Yeah, go ahead.
Everyone, hey Kelvin, long time no
Hiya.
speak.
Yeah,
Just
how
a
you
quick
doing?
question, because I've got some of our new volunteers who started with each on today's call and they haven't heard about this opportunity. But when is the deadline? So you said, you're constantly looking for people on a rolling basis, but is there like a particular deadline where people need to kind of have applied and signed up for, or is it completely rolling?
Well, what I would like really would be a core group, which would be kind of established by sort of 2 weeks from today. So people who will be sort of committed to kind of seeing the whole thing through. But I don't want to exclude anybody. So what I think would be an absolutely useful aspect of this as well is, I mean, the committee cannot be like a self-contained thing. I really want people to be, talking with their peers and so on, and gathering the thoughts of everybody. So I think everybody, whether or not they're signed up to the committee as such, will still have an input. So it is about sort of broadening that sort of network of communication as well. So I think that there is a role for people to play, even if they don't want to be, 100% committed to the committee, but they can still feed into it. Absolutely. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Brilliant.
So in that kind of rolling thing, yeah, we constantly, want to hear people's opinions, views, and so on. Mm-hmm.
Perfect. Thank you, Kelvin.
Sure. Thanks.
Any other questions for Kelvin? No, I don't think so.
No, great.
Okay. Thanks,
Brilliant.
Kelvin.
So, no, thanks for that. Cheers.
Yes. Okay, next we've got Amy from Kairos, which is a new counselling service. So welcome, Amy. Yeah, would you like to just tell everyone about Kairos?
Sure. Yes. Thanks, Toby. Thanks, everybody. It's good to be with you and just to learn and hear about the other services and organizations here in West London. I'm with Kairos. I am the operations manager for Kairos, and we are a relatively new counseling organization. We are a charity established in 2018. And for the last 2 years, we were quite small, but sadly, and maybe due to pandemic, we have expanded and grown exponentially to meet the needs of the West London communities. So what started off as 2 people, just plugging away, I've contracted since November with 4 new counselors. And so that really does expand and grow, and the number of sessions that we're able to offer individuals in the communities has just really increased. And so we're really thankful for that, and just for the reach that allows. I'm based in Hounslow, but we have counselors in Ealing, in Harrow, in Northolt. And so we really are focusing on this West London corridor from Harrow down to Hounslow. So as far as counseling services, we offer individual, group counseling, couples counseling, and family counseling. Our specialty is in trauma. However, we do offer, anxiety, depression, counseling for those types of. I'm gonna just bear with me one second. I'm just gonna share the screen for our website. So this is the Kairos website. This is who we are. Please do have a browse. It's kairoscommunitycounseling.com. All of our counselors do hold advanced degrees and come with high qualifications. And so we really want to be a service to of high quality counseling at low costs. And so really reaching out to communities that have historically been disadvantaged or maybe have had a lower uptick in reaching out for services and counseling. So yeah, I commend the website to you. We really do want to network within the area and just get the word out that we are ready and willing and able to be a resource and to help within the community. I'm going to, if it's appropriate, I'll pop my specific contact details in the group chat, and really would love to, if there's any potential networks or partnerships, and just hearing, if you'd like to hear more about Kairos, I would love to meet up with you virtually and then introduce you to our counseling director as well. So I'll do that in a
Thanks,
second.
Amy.
But
I was just going to ask about the fee structure, because obviously your organisation does charge, but low cost. How much flexibility is there in cost? Because Yardo, who provide counselling, they've got a very good structure where if someone really cannot afford it at all, you know, no one is ever turned away. And I think more and more we should have this sort of whole spectrum of, if you can pay for things at all, then, you know, or make some payment towards it. But of course, there's people who can't afford, you know, just haven't got a penny at all. How much flexibility is there in your fee structure?
Yeah, so that's a great question, and one we get asked a lot. So we definitely have concession applications, and anywhere, you know, for people on benefits, we would ask them to pay something because we really see a value in if someone's committed to counseling and willing to put in both the finances as well as the therapeutic work, then we see the healing and the improvement. And so even if that means under £10 a session or £5 or something like that, we really would work with somebody. We never want, you know, and this is in a grand kind of approach, but we really don't want to be in a position where we have to turn somebody away who truly needs counseling. So, you know, as business on the operations side, I'm looking for donations and grants, and so that's part of our approach to really make counseling accessible to many.
Okay, that sounds great. Peru, have you got a question for Amy?
Yes. Do you do counseling for any mental health, mild to moderate to severe, any kind of mental condition?
Yes, that's right. Yes.
Thank you.
Mild, moderate, yes.
What about severe?
Severe, yeah, we do a lot of trauma counseling as well.
Okay, thank you, thank you.
And I will also mention that many of our counselors speak multiple languages, and so we do offer counseling currently in Gujarati, Hindi, and Spanish. And we're looking to bring on counselors who do have a wide variety of spoken languages.
Thank you.
Any more questions for Amy? Can't see any more hands.
Sorry, Toby.
Oh,
I don't know how to raise my hand. Sorry. Amy, this sounds great. Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you so much for presenting this. I'm just wondering about, because one of the things that we've spoken about in the Mint meetings is around capacity and how quickly patients can be seen. Is there a certain number of patients that, you know, what is it that you kind of reach capacity at, and how quickly is there a turnaround from, you know, referral to assessment for the patient and then for first appointment?
Yeah, we can turn it around in a couple of days, to be honest, right now, because we have a lot of slots open. So yeah, so we would have obviously the referral, then our intake coordinator would speak to the individual, and then would line up the needs with a specific counselor, and then the counselor would then take it from there and have the first session. Yeah.
That's great, Amy. Thank you. And how many staff do you have in Ealing?
Well, right now, because of pandemic, we're virtual, so we do all counseling online. So yeah. So.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. So right now we have 5 counselors. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Lovely. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's great. Also, Amy, I will send you details because there is also a Talking Therapies network which meets on a quarterly basis, and that is hosted by Kate. So I'll send you their details as well if you'd like to attend that. Okay, that's great.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'm going to move on to the next point then, which is another network that I just want to tell everyone about. I'm going to share my screen. It's something delivered by Ealing and Hounslow CBS. It is called CASH, stands for Connect Against COVID, Help Everyone, and it's primarily aimed at BAME community groups, obviously because they're most impacted. It runs on a weekly basis every Friday, 10:30 to 12. Different speakers each week. So I'm just going to show you the website, and then you can see how to sign up. It's the sort of thing you can dip into, dip out of. Obviously, they don't expect everyone to attend on a weekly basis, but it's turning into quite a good platform in terms of connecting to people and influencing. So I definitely recommend, if you can, to join it and see when different people are attending, because Ealing Council are going to be using this as an opportunity to talk to community groups. I've been pressing that, people are quite exhausted from giving feedback, and there's been so many surveys in terms of the impact of COVID, and then we're asked to send out more surveys, and then they wonder why there isn't very good response. Well, people are quite exhausted of just giving information, and people want to see real sort of developments and moving forward. So in a few weeks' time, we're hoping that on this network there will be more of I like to call it more focus groups and talking about solutions, ideas, brainstorming, to make sure that things are really moving forward to supporting people who really need it. And I'm trying, what's interesting about Ealing and Hounslow CBS is because we work across 2 boroughs, you can see sometimes one borough is a little bit ahead of the game than the other. And so I'm trying to bring across developments and information from one borough to another, because so many times boroughs work in isolation and have to reinvent the wheel, and it does get frustrating. I think, why don't you talk to each other? And this is great that with Mint that it does cover so many boroughs as well, that you can draw information. But in terms of councils, they can sometimes be very different in the way they work. But just things like initiatives we had with Hounslow about potentially, and this is in the brainstorming, using empty shop spaces to be drop-in places where people can be signposted, and people with iPads showing them how to, thinking about digitally excluded, how they can either look up information or log requests and things like that. So I'm basically encouraging you that when Ealing Council do come to the Cash Forum, please come along, please feed back to them, because it could be a really good platform to get things moving quickly. But that's enough about me banging on. I'm just going to show you the website. If I can share my screen. I've lost my page again. So on the EHCVS website, within networks and forums, Cash, Now, there's a little bit of information about the cash. So this is for Ealing and Hounslow, and it's all things to do with, you know, digital exclusion, funding opportunities, guest speakers. And then in this section here, there's obviously mental health information. It's going to be populated. Here is all about the COVID vaccine information. So this is like a toolbox that community groups can cascade information down to their service users, information in different languages, a lot of video links, so powerful to have people from different communities speaking their own languages, reassuring people, trying to overcome push back on fake news and conspiracy theories that are circulating. So there's a huge amount of information here that's discussed at the Cash Network. And if you like to attend or want to find out more about it, you just click on these links here to register. There's different agendas so you can see what's coming up. And if you want to, you can even click on these to record, to watch previous meetings. You can dip in, find out what's going on, because we didn't want the information that's discussed to just disappear or get stuck in inboxes. So you can always go back to other meetings and fast forward to relevant bits to find out information. So I will send out more information about the Cash Forum, and yeah, please do bear in mind that it could be a really influential place in a couple of weeks' time when Ealing Council attend, and also Ealing Public Health. So yeah, look out for that. Has anyone got any questions they'd like to ask me about Cash? No? I'm just going to stop my share a minute.
Toby,
Hi.
I'm not sure whether you can hear me.
I can indeed, yes.
Hiya. Okay, so yes, I was just curious, how did it get set up? Because I must admit, I heard about it the other day, and then obviously you've just kindly shown me the stuff on there, and it looks brilliant. But I'm just wondering, what was the history as how it got set up?
It was some funding. It's from the London Response Forum, and it was just over the Christmas period. It was one of those situations where, you know, everyone's applying for, there's so many opportunities out there, and so it was an iron in the fire. And it just over Christmas period, we found out we've got that funding, and so yes, it was set up. The first one took place at the end of January, and their weekly meetings that will run, we've got funding to deliver those until the end of June. So that's why I've been working a lot with other people at Ealing Council, in the Jackie Pinney, telling her about that, and also Maddie from Public Health, because it's a great place for future engagement with groups in Ealing and consultations, because I know Maddie from Public Health was keen to have another consultation, but I was really encouraging her to do something that's more kind of focus groups and engagement as opposed to a general consultation. So yeah, there's a lot of opportunity that can take place on that platform.
Thank you, it's brilliant, thank you. I'll be in touch again soon.
Yeah, brilliant. Okay, so now we're just going to move on to more, we're going to go back to Evelyn at the end. I know she wants to talk about the Race Equality Commission, but now we're going to move more on to youth mental health. We're trying to define the areas within this meeting, just to make sure they both get covered. So, Chance Arts. Helen, are you on this call? Anyone else from Chance Arts?
Yes, we're both here. I'm Helen.
Oh, hello. Hi, Helen.
I'm sort of calming the dog down while we're talking.
Okay.
So if I disappear, it's because Dennis is going to take over.
Okay.
I'm Dennis.
Thanks for the heads up. Hi, nice to meet you. So welcome. And yeah, we'd love to know more about Chance Arts. It looks very interesting.
Been around for 30 years, but only about 20 in Ealing. And we give therapy sessions to children in school, and they're usually referred through the school or through social services. We've been doing this for a long time, and we have a team about the same size as Kairos, actually. We have 4 of us, 4 psychotherapists and us 2, and we have social work students in training. So between us, we can give the schools quite a lot of help with dealing with some of the more children. I mean, we do a focus on trauma. And I'm actually going to get Liz to talk to you about the kind of referrals we get and so on. We do group work as well, and that's my remit. And it's currently funded through Youth Music, because we're working with music therapy to provide safe music groups within the school. And that we're developing. So I'm going to leave you to talk about all the referrals.
Yes, as Helen said, we usually get referrals through the school, I would think 95%. And we get the complex cases. If you like, we're an add-on to other services that offer counselling around a number of schools in Ealing. But we take on those often where there are legal implications and where the parents are also in need of a lot of help. Although we usually signpost them to resources in the social services. We work in a multidisciplinary way, if you like, between education, ourselves, and health, often because of the situation with the families. A lot of them have mental health issues themselves. And the children, sorry, excuse my dog, she can hear my voice. The children are often suffering from what has happened in the family, but also stressed parents can pass that stress on to the children. And I think during the lockdown 1, 2, and 3, this has been quite remarkable. And in fact, our service has been so called on that we're thinking of expanding by employing another music therapist. In just before December, sorry, excuse me, just before December, for the first time in 30 years, I had to say to an educationalist, I'm sorry, we're full. And we managed to reallocate and move around a couple of our therapists, and so we were able to answer their call at February half term. So you were talking to Amy about length of time to respond. It is usually during a term. We're having to say that now. With a bit of luck, sometimes it's a half term to do the observation, the assessment, and start treatment. But it can be now a term. We are also looking to increase our board of trustees so that we get internal more support and more help with funding. We're in the same position as Amy, looking for increased funding. And that's partly why we're working now with Ealing Music Service. We actually are not a verbal counselling service. We are an active arts service. The children who come to us individually or in groups are helped through the arts, through art, drama, music, occasionally or often movement, sometimes dance, depending which of our therapists is available. But in fact, given the age of the children, they come to us from primary and occasionally in secondary, but a lot of them in primary. Most, I would say, 80% in primary. And so it's a way of assisting them to express themselves if they can't do it verbally. And a lot of them are so traumatized that the word is, if you like, an unattainable achievement. And so in our sessions, we hope to use integrated arts before moving on to one or other of them specifically. So they might have a general sessions at the beginning, and then as they grow and are able to choose preferences, they might move into specifically art, specifically drama, specifically music. And a lot of them choose music these days. And we are finding, therefore, that a program of small group therapeutic music is an idea that we contacted Ealing Music Service about. Have they got musicians who would be interested in combining with our therapists in such like programs? And they got funding for the first year of the program, and we've done that in one school. Because of COVID, we had to limit, and we're hoping to spread that to 3 more schools and then watch it mushroom through the borough. And so far it's been quite successful. From Ealing Music Service point of view, that has enabled a lot of their musicians to spread their skills, if you like, into out of classroom teaching into therapeutic enabling processes. And from our point of view, it has shown us, confirmed, if you like, that moving from the non-verbal to the verbal is a good assessment for children. And for example, we had 12 children on the last school that we did with them, and 3 of those have been assessed as needing individual further, more specific therapy programs because of their distress. So I'm sure we will use it as a diagnostic tool, and we will also use it to pass on to your programs or help with the parents with their family distress, so that we concentrate on the children. So that's why I was very interested in Toby inviting us to speak today, because I feel that as we progress, we will hopefully work more and more with the adult mental health services that are in the borough. And I think that combination could be very important for the families that are suffering. And I think, you know, as we come out of lockdown, I'm sure your services and ours will be called on more and more as people are able to talk about how they've managed, how they haven't managed, and what they need to manage further, you know. Now, I said sort of 80%, 90% of our referrals come through the school, but a number come through the child health visitor service, and a number of them come through GPs. So I was very interested in how you are all linking in with GPs. So that could be a point of connection for us. Very open to them referring to us, having a discussion of what's available. And it may mean that you work with the adults and we work with the children, and, you know, continue discussions and meetings together to make that go forward. Yeah, very important.
Sounds a great idea.
About the therapeutic music groups, it's very important that we mention that these groups are led by a music therapist and myself as the project organizer at the moment, although we're going to ask a drama therapist to lead some of the work now. And it is very much a therapeutic music and not music therapy, because we cannot do clinical music therapy in that context. And that's why we can ask musicians to help us. And we did a considerable piece of CPD for Ealing Music Service. They had 14 hours of CPD before we got them involved in this project.
Yeah.
And that's made a huge difference because those musicians say they are really teaching differently. We also involve the school staff, normally the welfare staff or music teacher in the case of the school that we just completed. And it's very important that they all attend the CPD because then they all understand what we're all trying to do. We check that they know their child development for a start and that they understand what trauma is. You know, it's all very well for all of us who train, we know what trauma is, but you don't assume everybody else does because the word can be used in all sorts of ways. And that's a really important thing about it not being music therapy. We've had to convince the head teachers they mustn't say it's music therapy because they all want to put a label on. Oh, music therapy, this is great. Well, actually, it is great. However, it isn't music therapy. And music therapy might happen for the 3 children that we've said need extra help, but they might have something else. Actually, I think some of them need educational help. I think at least 2 of them do. One of them, I think, is
And how many sessions on average do you need to give to a child to see kind of breakthrough?
The music program is six to 8 weeks.
Yeah.
It was only 6 because of COVID. But the individual
With the
sessions
individual
are quite different.
therapy, yeah, with the individual therapy, we try and get both schools and the family and the child to commit to 10 sessions. We used to say 6, but with the depth of trauma and complication that we're now faced with, we try and get them to commit to 10 sessions. And some of the children, depending on the commitment of the family, I was very interested in what Amy was saying about commitment. Depending on the commitment and the understanding of the family, if that is fairly sound, then the children can sometimes cope with just having 10 sessions. But what often happens is that they go through the school year. And indeed, with some of them, depending at the stage in school, if they're moving on to secondary school, or they're going to move out of the borough, or a family member dies, or something happens, they can stay with us much longer. The longest we've had several children has been 4 years.
Really?
Yes.
Extreme circumstances.
That's in extreme circumstances. Yes. For example,
in term time.
In term time, yes. So you always get a break in the holidays, and the holidays always come at the wrong moment. They're just starting to really work on their program, and then there's a holiday, and it goes back a little, and you have to start again a little after the holiday. But I talk to the teachers and pastoral staff and whoever's funding to think in terms of a school year, because partly also because in the summer term it's a mess. You've got and parts of the spring term too, because of SATs and holiday clubs and going on trips and all that sort of thing in the normal school routine, you know. Having said that, 1 or 2 children are out of school anyway, so that changes the time program. But we insist on meeting the people in the school who are around the children and who are in charge of the school program, and hopefully a member of the family. We don't always get that. They sometimes talk to the school, who talk to us. That's fine. But we do need a meeting with them to look at all the aspects of the situation and the cause of the referral, even if they filled up our referral form. And you always get that chit chat in a meeting that tells you the atmosphere, tells you the strains and tensions that are going on, that will either support or would counteract the individual therapy that we're going to give. And we have to be assured of funding, of course, because it's not as expensive as some programs, but it's more expensive than others. And so we have to sort that out. Having said that, We do occasionally, sort of about once, twice a year, get a family coming to us direct, because we've been around so long, and then we arrange different funding, and if they can't fund, we see whether within the trust it is something that we can help them with, so that we try not to turn away any child who's really in need. And I say child, but we go through secondary school as well as primary school, and we have one or two young people, I should say, who have come back to us post-secondary, if they've already worked with us in either secondary or primary. We try to follow through. I had one young lady turn up on my doorstep at Christmas 2 or 3 years ago, who followed me all the way down from the north of England where I used to work. Needless to say, we didn't turn her away. She was looking for help with her child. And that was quite amazing. Yes, that was a while ago now.
That sounds absolutely fascinating.
We have obviously had enormous changes through the lockdowns, and some children have coped with online. Some haven't, and we've kept in touch by sending them cards. We're still here, looking forward to meeting you again when things get easier. Landline. And landline. One of our boys insists on using landline. He copes with that very, very well.
Now he knows how to use it. I never know what to do with the receiver.
And he feels very powerful because he sees his parents using it, and he is allowed on that occasion to use it himself. So that's a great help and encourages his independence. So it's a question of being creative. Now, if they're approaching us during the lockdown, we then have to test whether we leave it. We've got one child hanging on till the schools reopen, because in discussion with his family, he has certain special needs. And he's going through the process, the education special needs process of getting a diagnosis. So we're letting that go on through the lockdown, and then when the schools open, he knows that he will start meeting up with one of our therapists. So it's a question of being creative, if you like, and the capacity of each family to cope with the circumstances that exist at the moment.
Sounds absolutely fascinating, and I'll definitely ask the social prescriber for Ealing to come to the next meeting, just so she can be connected to services like this, because something like this could be so powerful to have social prescribers in GP surgeries telling worried parents about this sort of support for their children. And yeah, I just think it could be so powerful in terms of helping young people, young children get the support they need. So, has anyone else got a question for Dilys or Helen?
Our pleasure.
So what age groups do you, when can you start the therapy with children?
We can start in primary. In younger than that, if they're in nursery or pre-nursery, we usually help them with their parent on board because of their young age, and we go through, as I say, through secondary and occasionally post-secondary, but that's not very often.
So to 18-year-olds?
Yeah.
16 to 18?
Not really.
Not really. We try and get them very much younger.
The bulk of the children are, we have a slight joke actually, I must admit. We say they're normally in year 4. And I think it's because there is that developmental change between key stage 1 and key stage 2, 7, 8. And when they're 8, they suddenly start to show warts and all, their behaviour. they're noticed for being in the back of the class and not doing anything much. So underachievement comes up quite a lot. And sometimes the schools don't know exactly what the problem is, and that's why we observe the class and see what we make of that child in that class alongside other people. And sometimes we find other things in the class which surprise teachers, because they don't, you know, when you're teaching, you don't have time to look around everybody and see what's happening. So, yeah, year 4 is currently year 2 and year 4 seem to be prevalent in the children we're seeing.
Wow.
Any other questions for Dilys and Helen?
Hi, hello.
Yes.
Hi, Ben.
Hi, Toby. Sorry, I just joined you. I was in another meeting. It sounds like a really interesting service. Do all of your referrals come from schools, or do they come from the community?
Come from schools. Some come from social workers. Some come from GPs. 1 or 2 occasionally over the years have come through lawyers working with families in court. But that's unusual. We try and get them before they reach the court stage. But most of them are from schools, yes. But we certainly are very open to GPs who have a wider remit than the schools. Yeah. Sorry, Ben.
So do you go to them, or do they come to you, or what's the?
We go to them.
Yeah, but they come to us with the referral.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
The referral comes to us.
It comes to one of us, actually.
One of the 2 of us, either Helen or I. And then we look at the referral and we arrange a meeting with whoever has referred and the other people that they talk about who may be involved with the family.
Right. And then when it comes to doing the work, you go to them rather than them come to you.
No, our therapists work at the school mostly. Just occasionally we work in the foster home or the family home. But that we try not to do in case that is not totally a safe place for them. If the family is truly upset, truly disturbed, we try and get help for the adults through one of your services, and we see the children independently in school, not even in their classroom, but in a safe place in the school.
We work a lot with safeguarding teams in schools and pastoral support people. And at the moment, of course, we're having to have somebody covering at that end for technology. So they're usually in the next room, they set it up and then they're in the next room, so that they can monitor what the child's doing because of it being online. But we're hoping to get back to face-to-face. It's mixed. I mean, we're having a team meeting actually to discuss how we feel about all that, because there's all sorts of implications.
Yeah.
We need to iron that out before we can talk about it, really.
You may have missed, Ben, that we talked also about the fact that we do small groups as well. And those have been mostly in schools. But we are also open, and I hope that will restart when the lockdown finishes. We've worked in community centres.
Oh, yes.
Particularly in Southall. And
with the under fives.
With the under fives as well. Yes. These are our therapeutic music program, and those have been very successful.
Can I ask, do you have any unmet needs yourself, business needs as a service?
Yes, please. Talk to me later. I've just been complaining I'm overworked.
Well, yeah, I would definitely like to talk to you about that then, certainly.
Yeah. Oh, lovely. That would be great. Thank you. We must exchange emails.
Yeah. Well, I've actually gone and put in the chat Rakshana, who's a social prescriber for Northolt.
I saw that come up.
Details. So I've put to your website link and your email address. So now everyone can get in touch. That's great. So it's already
that's lovely, because the website rather is a little bit out of date.
Yeah, we need some help with that actually.
And don't forget, Ealing and Hounslow CVS offer advice and direction on funding and things like that. So you can.
Oh yeah. Oh, we take you up on it. Don't worry.
Yeah. Yeah. So please, everyone. Oh yeah, I'm going to promote. Just do another big push on the website, because we have a community calendar. So I'm just going to show that very quickly. And the reason being that you can always see, rather than having to dig into our website to see what's going on, you can skim along to our community calendar, and we put up all organizations' big events there. So if you're ever planning something or you want to see what's on, just go to our community calendar and you can actually sync it to your own. So it's there in the background. But let me just show it very briefly. I'm always plugging it because, surprise, surprise, I was the person who put it there, and I built the website. I'm not wanting to show off, but I'm just want to show people the community calendar. So let me just share this, because I want everyone to use it as much as possible. So yeah, the one area that I'd say go to on our website if you're short of time and just want to see what's going on. Perhaps there might be, want to see if there's any funding events, our big lottery fund, doing an online Zoom about future funding. Just go to our community calendar and then you can just hover over things. There we go. Here's a fund, just as I was saying, about National Lottery are doing an event for Ealing and Hounslow about funding. So that's coming up in March. What else is here? Anyway, I won't go on and on, but please do visit our website. And yeah, if anyone wants, what else is digital capacity, volunteering, and also anyone who wants to subscribe it, they just click on their calendar and it will sit alongside your very own calendar, so you can always see what's going on, a reminder, or if you want to plan an event, you can make sure it doesn't clash. But anyway, that is enough of me plugging myself and Ealing and Hounslow CVS. So, Evelyn, you were wanting to talk about the Race Equality Commission. Would you like to update everyone on
that? Yes, I have got a presentation which has bits and pieces on it. I tried to share it earlier on this morning in another meeting, but it didn't seem to work. Shall I try and have a go doing it here?
Have a go, and if you have any problems, you send it to me so I can always launch it and share it. But you should be able to share on this platform. It's the good thing I put in the settings that anyone can, and applies to everyone. If anyone wants to share their screen or share anything, it's all set up so anyone can.
Okay, so what are you seeing?
Nothing at the moment. Are you clicking the tick box or okay that says share screen?
It says share screen. It's gone. I've ticked it and it's gone. It's faded out, but nothing seems to have changed. It seems to have almost like frozen.
Would you like me to launch it on my screen and share it?
Let's have a look. Try again. Oh, hold on. That might be better. Is that something happening now? Oh.
Oh, I can see a
let's have a look and see whether if I do.
That's better. Yeah.
Okay, I've now gone into my slideshow. Let's have a look and see. So actually, what I might do, because I've got some notes as well. So there were several things I was going to talk about, Toby, but let me just try and get to the bit. So you were talking about the Race Equality Commission. So let's talk about that first. So the Ealing Race Equality Commission has been launched. We're also, so I'm just trying to get it so it's big, concurrent, I think that will do. Is it showing? No. It's probably don't I? But basically, the Equality Commission is what we're asking for is for anybody who has had experience feeling opportunity to listen to their person. And so the question
is anyone else having problems hearing Evelyn? Yeah, Evelyn, we've all got it's very broken
it's
up.
crackling.
I think maybe might be a bit too much for your system. I don't know if you want to stop sharing your screen and just chat through, because when you were just talking, it was much clearer, but as soon as you started sharing your screen...
I can't hear you.
Evelyn, are you still there?
Can you hear me?
Vaguely. It's cutting in and out a bit.
I'm going to stop trying to share the screen if you don't mind, because I don't think that's helping.
No.
Toby, if you don't mind, if you're able to either share slides, that would be great. Can you hear me at all?
I can hear you.
Okay,
yeah.
So basically what we're trying to do is so the opportunity to listen. So you can do that and tell us about your experience of inequality in Ealing, what the impact of race inequality has been on you or your family and your friends, and what are the barriers to achieving equality that you think we need to address. There's several ways you can do that. A telephone number, which is 020 6100, and that will enable you to talk to somebody, and then you'll be asked to sort of just summarize what your main points to say, and those conversations, the conversations will be given to the questions have been left very open at the moment, because this is an in-depth commission. It's not actually for example, one of the commission is a device. All the rest of them have basically been, they have a passion for actually wanting about race inequality.
Is everyone else having problems hearing Evelyn? Yeah, Evelyn.
Yeah, now I can't hear anything.
We can't hear you. It's all breaking up, unfortunately. Oh dear, what a shame. We were having quite a good run in terms of IT. Yeah, it seems, unfortunately, from Evelyn's side, maybe her bandwidth is quite low or something. I've got up on the screen about Ealing Race Equality Commission. Maybe we can always try and get Evelyn back another time to talk about it, but I can send it round. It's a shame I don't know a bit more about it to run through it myself, but I will send this around, and I'm just going to look also at what Evelyn wanted to talk about, see if I can second guess. So on her slide, it says about Ealing Together and the support directory. Be interesting for everyone checks on that to see whether they are listed in the support directory. It's more for general services. So something like Chancellors, I don't think would be the right place for this, when it's more to do with general service, perhaps counselling services or befriending, things that probably affect a lot of people during COVID. But do click on that link, and if you're not on that directory site, make sure you do get yourself listed, and you can do that by talking to Evelyn. Just having a look at what else you put on her presentation a little bit about this. Yeah, I've read something else about how it's very easy now to get a COVID test in Ealing, particularly with the emergence of the South African virus variant. Yeah, there's some information there. What else has she sent me then about Ealing and Quad? Future Ealing Fund. Yes, now that is an interesting project. It's to do with applying to rejuvenate or regenerate a space or a particular area. It could be community kitchens to spaces outside. I hope I'm explaining this okay, Evelyn. trying to give your presentation when I don't know as much as you obviously, but please do click on that link. That is being launched again. What's it say? Free registration for the event Wednesday, the 3rd of March. So that's next week. Do have a look at that. and if you've got an idea, looks like a link on a news feature. Let's click on this because I bet that'll be interesting. Yeah, oh brilliant. This is all about the launch. Do you have an idea to improve local area or do something good in the community? Blah, 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 100,000 in a pot, maximum 10,000 for each project. The deadline, you've got 28th to the 28th of April. Oh yeah, I know, that's amazing that, I've seen that before in Acton. So I'll send this around, do have a look at the links and log in and register for that event to find out more about the Future Ealing Fund webpage. So let's see if we can get Evelyn to give me feedback on doing her presentation for her and if I covered everything. Are you there still, Evelyn?
Yes, I am, but can you hear me?
Just about.
I'm so sorry. I don't know what happened there. Thank you very much, Toby. Yes, please. The important things are for people to register to find out more about the Future Ealing Fund, and then also to be involved in the Ealing Race Equality Commission. And to get involved, you can talk on this telephone number, which I'll also put in the chat.
Okay, lovely. I seen a note Craig's put on, I think might have been to you, Evelyn, saying, have you got a VPN on that might be slowing it down?
Possibly, but I must admit I don't have the ability to turn it off.
Right, that could have been it. Okay. Has anyone got any other business? Oh, before we do that, Ben, I was just going to say that before you joined, I told everyone how we're going to be working more closely with Ealing Council. And I said how you're now funding this forum and our thanks for doing that. And yeah, I was just thinking that, this is a great step forward. Also, the timing in terms of we were looking at consolidating information so we can all be connected and signposting service users and connecting to social prescribers. So it's all moving forward and taking shape. So that's really good. Oh, you're on mute, Ben.
There, can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah, great. Yeah, I believe someone in the council has been in contact with you, Toby, and looking at, they're now developing that set of services across the council and across all of Ealing. And I saw you shared something from West London Trust.
Yes, we've been looking at that.
There was a list of those. And I think I sent you a list that was put together by Public Health, and it wasn't an exhaustive list, but I think it was about 29 pages of services. I was amazed by the number of services that were around.
You sent it. I can't remember seeing that. I'd love to see it. Yeah.
Let me send it to you, and I'm sure that it's shareable. And I sent it into this group who are pulling it together. Was it Laura that was in touch? Somebody called Laura that was in touch with you. She contacted me recently.
It was a guy I think spoke to Earthen, and he was talking about Care Place. Was that the same conversation? And that's where I fed back to him about how this Google list is really the most up to date, and I don't know if that was the person you were referring to.
Maybe it probably is, but yeah. So yeah, really want to, especially during COVID, have all of this information out there. Everything at the moment is pretty much virtual. So having that out, and a lot of the services that I saw on that list were either available over the internet, or there was quite a few that were available over phone as well. So yeah, just an interesting, huge list of services. But I'll get that off to you today, Toby.
That'd be great. And I've just seen
And the idea of working more closely with ECBS really appeals to me. You know, I really do want to start seeing more of you getting to this forum more often. Also talking about this forum within the service, you know, so that social workers and other people can have access to it. I've got a team meeting in about 2 weeks' time, and I'll be talking to people about utilizing this. You know, it's a great place to hear about new services like the service I heard about earlier. Pity I couldn't have got here earlier on. I know there was other things that were happening, you know, earlier on in the discussions. But you get out minutes after this anyway, don't you?
Well, I video, this is all being recorded, which is actually makes it easier, so you can just whiz through the bits you missed and saves me typing up minutes. That's
very good. I like that.
We have got to go. Didn't want to go without saying goodbye because we've got another meeting coming up. Thank you very much, Toby, for inviting us, and thank you, everybody.
Thank you, everyone, for sharing with
us. Okay.
Very helpful.
Thank you.
you.
Bye. Bye.
So I think we've just got 2 more minutes left. If anyone's got any other business or any other questions or anything they'd like to ask. No. It's been quite a jam-packed meeting anyway, so all right then. Well, thanks very much everyone for joining, and yeah, I will be sending around more details and of course the link to this meeting, so if anyone wants to revisit parts or find out, go back to information, it will be there. So I'll see you all again, next month, be at the end of March. I'll see you all then.
Thanks,
Lovely.
Toby.
Thanks, Toby.
Bye.
Bye.
Cheers. Bye-bye.
Bye.